Hi, my name is Fulk. I am the Pitmaster at Hill Country Barbecue Market. Today we're going to talk a little bit about pork ribs. Now the pork rib is one of my favorite parts of the pig. It's juicy, it's amazing, it has a lot of great flavor. And there's two types that we know about, right? We got the baby back ribs, which come from the back of the pig. That's the pork loin. And we've got the pork spare rib, which is my favorite rib. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So I have here a beautiful rack of pork spare ribs. These are medium pork spare ribs, so they're big but not gigantic. You can also get light spare ribs, which are a little smaller. The spare rib comes from the belly of the pig, which makes it have all that extra beautiful belly fat, keeps it moist, keeps it juicy, keeps it amazing. So I'm going to show you kind of how to butcher a rack of pork ribs. This is a really nice rack that was given to us by Pat Lafreda, so we can see some beautiful marbling, beautiful fat, but it's really simple to do. All you're going to do is on the back of the pork rib, you're going to take off this little membrane here. You're going to rip it off with a towel, and then any excess fat you see that's a little too much or feels like it's not going to be great, we're going to take off. Super simple. I'm going to show you how to do it now. So here we have a beautiful rack of spare ribs. You can see all the beautiful fat, all the marbling, and as this cooks slow and low in the smoker, that fat is going to render right into the meat and create a beautiful, unctuous, delicious pork rib. See on the back here, we've got this little membrane here, right here, that we want to come off. So I'm going to show you guys how to take this off. First things first, this flap right here is a little bit of excess, and it's going to just burn as you cook it. So this you want to take off first. And I'm just going to take that off right there like that. Now you can use that for sausage, you can discard it, you can cook it up tomorrow for breakfast. It's delicious pork meat. You want to look at these pork ribs, which again are very beautiful. There's not a lot of excess fat here, but as you see this little feather fat, you want to just kind of bring it off. Now some pork ribs you're going to get and they're going to be perfect, you're not going to have any issues like this, and these ones are actually really, really nice. So we're just going to trim that up. You've also got the tail end of the pork rib right here, this little bit. If you cook this, it's going to become super dry, so we usually just cut that little tail end piece off. So now we've got a beautiful rack of spare ribs, and we're just going to take this membrane off. I know membrane is kind of a gross word, but it's what it is. We're going to draw a nice line following the end of the pork ribs, nice and easy. You don't want to go too far into it. And then you're going to simply take your knife and sort of weasel it under here. See that? Until you pull this up, right? Pretty simple. And then, once you have a good little handle, because you're sort of building a handle here, you're going to take a clean towel, grab the end of it, and then just start to peel it off. And hopefully you get it in one giant piece, but you may have to do it in two. And so now, if you get this membrane off, now that you've cooked it, when you cook it, it's going to be much easier to cut through. And you can see it's fairly easy to get off, but every once in a while it gives you a little trouble. And if you have any extras, you might have to go back in, sort of clean it off. But after you get that clean, you pretty much got a nice clean membrane, and you're ready to cook this beautiful rack of ribs. So now we're going to make our signature rub at Hill Country. And like I said, they're very simple ingredients. It's all about the meat in Texas barbecue. We're going to start with some salt, a healthy amount of black pepper. It's about a 1-to-2 ratio, give or take. So what I'll do with the rub is I'll take a look and use this sort of like a pie graph, and I'll see that we have our salt, we have about our pepper, looks really good. And then you're going to add just enough cayenne just to turn it pink. You don't want to make it super spicy per se, but you want to make it have that little extra love, right? And you're going to toss this rub, and you can see, you take a look, it's starting to turn just like a nice light pink with that beautiful pepper, and you can smell it. Don't inhale too deeply. I recommend wearing a mask. You're going to have this beautiful pink rub right here, and look at that. How simple is that? You put this rub on your pork ribs as you smoke them over Texas post oak. I'm telling you, you guys are going to have the best pork ribs ever. So now that we've butchered our beautiful pork ribs here, we're going to season them up. We've made our rub, which is simply salt, pepper, cayenne, just enough cayenne to turn it pink. We've got our rub here, and we've got our pork ribs. So when you're seasoning pork ribs or seasoning anything, you want to do it from a very high height. And I call it feeding the chickens, right? You just want to throw on a nice, beautiful amount of rub, Now this is barbecue and this is a big piece of meat, so it does need a fair amount of rub to get that flavor in. And then you're just gonna lightly massage it, and this helps even it out, right? And helps get it into the meat. Then you're gonna flip it over, because meat has two sides. And again, just a light dusting of snow, as if this is a pork mountain and you're just capping it with snow. And give it a nice little rub. Make sure there's no pockets, everything is fairly even. We're gonna flip it over, and then I like to do one more ever so slightly light layer right on the top, right before we lay it right in our smokers. So here we are in our smoker rooms at Hill Country Barbecue Market, and we are gonna throw these pork ribs in the smoker, smoke them at about 225 degrees for about 3 to 3.5 hours. They're gonna come out nice, delicious, beautiful smoked ribs, and let's load them in now. Lots of good, beautiful smoke. Let's set these right on the center rack. Careful, don't let smoke get in your eyes. Close them up. Remember, when you're smoking, if you're looking, it ain't cooking, so let it just relax, cook nice and easy in there, and then we'll take a look later, we'll pull them out and try them. So it's been a few hours, so we're gonna check our pork ribs and see if they're done. Ooh, these feel pretty nice. We're gonna pull these out of the smoker, take them to the block, cut a piece. Beautiful. So we're gonna take this sort of excess bone off here. And because I'm special, we're gonna do a nice little center cut bone right here. Oh yeah, just look at that. Look at that juicy, amazing pork rib right there. Gorgeous. And the thing about a pork spare rib that makes it special is you don't want it to necessarily fall off the bone. You want to have some bite to it. You want it to taste all that beautiful pork. See how you can still see the bone, but your teeth marks stay? Excellent pork rib.